Hello and welcome back to the fourth and final Vic3 video of my Portugal to Brazil Paradox Interactive Historical Playthrough Mega Series. I'm Admiral Jedi, thanks for watching. We are going to begin this by talking about some historical inaccuracies. And specifically, we're going to talk about rubber. Now, I spent all of the end of the third video whining about my poor fortunes on rubber, and it turns out I was wrong in that I was accusing the game of, let's stay with rubber, I was accusing the game of having, come on, stop doing that, historical inaccuracy, in that a lot of the markets were purchasing, like the British and French, were purchasing, I was complaining about them purchasing rubber from colonies that they had in Africa and Southeast Asia. And it turns out that that is historically accurate, unfortunately. Unfortunately for me and unfortunately for my playthrough, because what happens is Brazil did supply the world with the majority of rubber for a period, and then right around this time, the British and the French outcompeted them. In fact, rubber seeds were stolen from Brazil and planted in these other places to take over. So we're going to kind of deal with that. I am going to work on the exploiting the Amazon journal entry still. I've done a couple of practices with this, and there's some things here. These treaties actually end up giving us a more complete control over the split state of Amazonas. Let's see if we can see this a little bit better. See how when I hover over it like this, okay, I'll hover off, like this is what I have, right? But when I hover over it like this, you see these extra two sections. So this is like a New Granada version of Amazonas, and this is a, what is this, Peru-Bolivia version. But because the whole state is split, with this journal entry of exploiting, if I do these two treaties, Bogota and Ayacucho, it will give to me these sections, which will allow me to do the claim Acre segment and go to war against Peru-Bolivia, which is really going to be difficult to do because they are, I'm pretty sure, a puppet of Prussia. Now, I am thinking about how I might get a World War I scenario going here. Except for Prussia is friends with a lot of people. So, oh, this is Peru-Bolivia. Okay, no, let's switch it to Prussia. All right. So that's a little bit awkward, that Prussia is enemies with Austria and France. Okay, who's... And Britain is enemies with everybody on the planet, except me. So, and Britain likes Prussia. Huh. Okay. Well, I will futz around with that. We're going to get started with this video and work on rubber. The end of this video is going to come with us hopefully working on the Vargas, Getulio Vargas, and we're going to talk about that as the final half of this video. So, video number 4, Brazil, is underway. And so when I said focus on this exploiting the Amazon journal entry, what I really meant was completely abandon it and instead make this entire first segment of this video about all the things that I've done wrong trying to play through as Brazil from a historical perspective. We can talk about rubber. I already mentioned how rubber seeds were stolen and everything like that. Brazil's role in the global rubber industry really came to an end before even this time, this 1904 time. And so if you remember back to video 2, when I was trying to get rid of the old empire and the emperor himself, it was toward the end of that time that I should have been trying to work on rubber and all this journal entry. So that was a huge mistake there. Now, something else that is really affecting me at this point is my lack of workforce. So how can we see that overall? Let's go. We have no slaves. Remember, we got rid of slavery at the end of video 2. We have hardly any peasants whatsoever. Let's just... there we go. And so, I mean, 2K, that's really not even enough to, like, fill a main building. So, historically speaking, the big mistake that I made, and I should have made this, I don't know, it just wasn't available. The big mistake that I made was leaving migration controls in place, that I should have went for no migration controls. This was historically accurate. Brazil recognized their lack of labor pool, and they actively advertised for laborers to come in from Italy, from Germany, especially those two countries. And I should have turned off labor controls and gone for no migration controls to throw open the floodgates for immigration. Without that, I'm having a really hard time, which I think is historically accurate. I'm having a really hard time doing really kind of anything. And one of the things that I keep looking at is meat. Minas Gerais was supposed to be the dairy capital. Remember, we talked about coffee and milk, right? And milk was supposed to be about the dairy industry. But I have such a pathetically low dairy industry. And let's go ahead and turn off all the foreign investment. And nothing here. So let's zoom in where the cows should be at. Okay? And my problem is nobody wants to work here. Well, why is that? I mean, I could subsidize it. And actually, I don't know. We did subsidize coffee quite a bit. That historically happened in Brazil quite a bit. They called it valorization, where the government really propped up coffee quite a bit. Maybe I should have valorized beef as well. But what we end up seeing is there's nobody here. So if I just go to the state itself, look at population, everybody's working. We have lots of laborers. Where are the majority of them working at? Tobacco plantations, coffee plantations, okay, fine. But there's no peasants. There's no peasants and there's no unemployed. So let's go back and look at our population. Specifically, we'll zoom in on Minas Gerais, the state, specifically, okay. And then we'll go to job satisfaction. Is job seeker. Okay. So here are these plantation folks seeking work. All right, fine, cool. But how can we zoom in on them specifically? I don't want to zoom in on the profession. Let's go ahead and just zoom in on the building. And what did we see? Laborers, right? All right, 488. All right, well, that's not too bad. So let's go ahead and look back at our dairy industry. Where's it at? Probably in agriculture. Okay. And livestock failed to hire additional employees. Let's go ahead and just turn it on. And wait through. We gotta wait to December 17th. Let's fast forward to that. Okay. So here we are, December 17th, and laborers aren't willing to work for a wage of 201. Okay. Who's trying to pay you 201? I don't get it. Because here it says average annual wage. Farmers are making 464. Okay. So I don't know. I really just, like I said in the beginning of this, I just don't understand it. I mean, I suppose I could here, farmers, laborers. Let's see what happens. All right, so we still see what it's trying to hire laborers. Now, does it say what it's trying to hire them at? All right, well, now it's starting to work. Hey, turns out all I have to do is learn how to play the game. Well, anyway, the point that I wanted to make, and kind of failed to make by way of my example, but it still does apply a bit more overall, is a huge mistake that I made was not turning on no migration controls as quickly as possible to encourage foreign immigration. Now, another huge challenge for me has been, and I don't know that there was anything I could have done to not make this mistake. Brazil was just not heavily industrialized at this point. I've been playing the whole time, as much as possible, with a distinct lack of industrialization. There's not a single engine being manufactured in Brazil. That is historically accurate. And it is killing me. Just killing me. Because railways with the market mechanics depend obviously on engines. You can't build a railway without it. Railways were certainly built in Brazil, but they were built by foreign companies. And the way that Victoria 3's foreign investment works, and in fact, I think Sao Paulo's railway is predominantly, well, it used to be predominantly nationally or foreign owned by Britain. That is historically accurate. But just because they're investing their cash in the building of it doesn't mean they're investing their resources in what needs to run it. So I was like, all right, let's do what Brazil did, which is import this stuff. But my problem is just nobody wants to make more of it. I mean, it's at maximum cost. And nobody wants to ship to me. So, yeah, every once in a while I can do something like this, which I do, occasionally. But it's not like it really changes much. Oh, okay, good. I just got 4 more engines, only 30 more to go. So this wasn't a mistake that I made so much as a huge difficulty in playing Brazil as historically accurately as I possibly could. It's been a challenge. So, maybe I just had to live with it. So those few mistakes or challenges have really impacted this video and my entire Brazil gameplay. The railways, the not getting started on rubber soon enough, no migration controls have completely derailed, pun not intended, my gameplay. So really the only thing that's left is to get into the Vargas era and the beginning of Estado Novo, which I'm, learning a little bit about. So here's how we have to do that. We've got to climb all the way down to political agitation, which is going to take us approximately 22 years. That is too late, historically speaking, from 1905. I did pull off a few tricks and got that going already, so let's fast forward to that now. And so here we have fast forwarded to pretty close to that time. We're working on political agitation now. Oh, and there it is. Okay, so things are going to move very quickly here. And there it is. I've already done one playthrough of this right away, and there's too much to talk about, especially being a non-native, non-professional Brazilian historian like me. I will do my best. The times are all off at this point, so we just need to kind of talk about concepts. And the primary concept is the back and forth of coffee and milk, where power was passed back and forth between these two groups, Sao Paulo, Minas Gerais. And I think we're there now, if we look at our existing government. Yeah, between the landowners. And these are the ones that have stayed in power, coffee and milk, beginning of the first republic. This is named a little bit weird for me. But anyway, people were beginning to grow, well, not beginning, they were continually growing dissatisfied with how much focus was spent on coffee and how much of a national emphasis there was on coffee. There were two primary groups that were becoming more and more vocal and dissatisfied about this. The military, even though they're in government with, here it is, with them, we're looking for less liberal, less democracy orientation, and kind of a more authoritarian orientation. And they began to rebel all over the place. And one of the big events was the rebellion in Copacabana. And let's see if I can find that. So it looks like it was in this area here, in the Rio area. I'm thinking around here. Let's see if that's right. Check my maps. Yeah, I think so. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong about this. And they rebelled in this area, and the rebellion was put down. And that was the beginning of the Tenentismo movement, or lieutenantism, where the young and middle managing officers, that's probably better shown here. No, let's go ahead and look here. If we look at buildings, specifically our barracks, we can see that the further down with training we go, the more officers get trained up, right? And so if we look in our population, not our technology, our population, do we have a group of military? Okay, servicemen. Where's officers? There we go. These guys. So they formed the core of this Tenentismo, or lieutenant movement, and began to agitate for change. That whatever we got going on right now, constantly focusing on coffee, constantly spending every government resource we have to pump up coffee, especially in Sao Paulo, no bueno. And so they ended up, one of the interesting things that they did is they ended up having a march. And I think it started from down south here in Rio Grande do Sul. And they were going to link up in Sao Paulo as this kind of form of protest. And instead they marched like 24,000 miles all the way across Brazil or something, in what was called the Prestes Column, to sort of rally the people to no more. We're done with the oligarchs, right? We're done with this oligarchic republic. So that was one of the people. And the second group was the more liberal PD, Partido Democrático, the PD, with a more liberal program that was really, it was more about modernizing and leading Brazil into the more modern future, which I'm all about because I want my engines, like I said before. So a huge portion of this is the appearance of this fellow right here. Let's pop on over there. Getulio Vargas. And so we can see that this is about to happen. The landowners have a new challenge. And so there was a split between Minas Gerais and Sao Paulo, and it led to this sort of power vacuum, which began to be filled by PD, Partido Democrático, and the leader, Getulio Vargas. Now, before I accept that, I need to make sure that I have an empty agitator slot, which I do. And so let's go ahead and accept that. Now, here's the deal. This is why I said this is going to happen really quickly and not historically accurately. So once I accept that, it would have triggered this journalism entry to have populist unrest occur. And basically what it would be is everyone is sick of it and, ready to, and so it would have been ticking for populist unrest to tick up. However, what's going to happen is we're there already, because I've been starving the people. I've been saying this for all my videos. I've been starving the people historically accurately. And so the moment I go ahead and accept this, boom, like that, and let the time go, this populist unrest will occur way out of historical time. It'll complete right there. And this is Getulio Vargas basically declared himself an autocratic ruler. This happened in 1930, and he was the autocratic ruler of Brazil. Basically, it was a dictatorship. So here we have autocracy. And there's something that we're supposed to be doing, kind of pushing his agenda. And there you go. And so I'm going to spend the rest of this video working on that. And we'll bring you back in at the end. And that is going to lead us by no later than 1936, because that's when Victoria 3 ends, and we'll begin Hearts of Iron 4, into Estado Novo. So let's fast forward and get there. So while we're looking to pass these laws, and I started with the easiest one, let's go ahead and look at what some of these mean. So first of all interest groups in Brazil, basically none of them are communist or vanguardist. The communists were really kind of run out at this point, so I'm glad that I didn't have to do any work for that. All of these regulatory bodies, workers' protections. Now, this is kind of interesting in that Vargas kind of positioned himself almost like the father of workers. And he would come on and he would make radio addresses. And to Brazilian workers, to my 3 children. I mean, I don't know if he probably didn't literally say that. But it was definitely like, to you I speak, kind of. And he wanted to make people feel like he was their guy. He was their champion. Now, it's interesting that steel railway cars just came up. We may do something with that here shortly, because getting back to our Estado Novo goals here, compulsory primary school, we're going to work on that. And I did learn that basically Vargas had an increasing interest in education, and really hired somebody or worked with somebody to reform secondary education, paying most of the attention in secondary education to sort of trade and service skills, industrial, required for industry. So we're going to work on compulsory primary school for that. All these things, presidential republic. I mean, that's the thing. It's allegedly a presidential republic, but it kind of really wasn't. It was really a dictatorship. Has grown beyond any acceptable limit. Has petition. Okay. There you go. We don't need the landowners to have any more strength than they already do. What else are we going to look at? Censorship was definitely a piece of it. That there was an entire entity dedicated to propaganda, which was kind of wild. What's it at here? Departamento da Imprensa e Propaganda. I'm sure I pronounced that incorrectly. The DIP. It supervised movies, radio, theater, the press, and literature of a social or political nature. So we've had censorship in place. We're just going to leave it in place because that is how Vargas rolled. Autocracy, like I said, interventionism. He a lot of government control of industry entirely. And so that's really kind of it. We're going to push forward with these things. I am going to free myself up now to do more industrialization just because, you know, that was the goal, whether or not it was actually accomplished. And like I said, when that steel railway cars came up, that was kind of cool because I think I'm going to start trying to push for an actual steel industry. And that did happen. That's historically accurate. That the military at this point insisted upon steel and other kind of defense-oriented industries coming inside. Don't ask me why I'm just staring at the South Atlantic Ocean. Coming inside. And so we're going to do that and finish passing these laws, get the Estado Novo in place, and call it a day. We'll call it and end this segment. But before we do that, one thing that's not historically accurate is the amount of money that we had. Brazil was crazy in debt at this point, and Vargas even suspended debt payments to foreign creditors, basically saying, we're not going to pay you. Those were resumed in the 40s, but that is not historically accurate for me to have this money. So let's spend some money. And so, just like that, after a million stalls and debates and all that sort of thing, all of our laws passed, and Getulio Vargas's Estado Novo is a real thing. This did happen a little bit prematurely. It wasn't supposed to happen until the 30s, with a series of crackdowns against the left wing, numerous decrees. He's finally solidified his rule over Brazil. And so Getulio Vargas will be in charge of Brazil well into and past the Hearts of Iron 4 stage, and even has power, not contiguously, but had power in the 50s when he actually took his own life. So long live Brazil. And this brings an end to the Victoria 3 segment of the Brazil historical playthrough. There's only one more video left, and that is going to be Hearts of Iron. Normally I do about 4 Hearts of Iron videos, but most of the Hearts of Iron content for Brazil will be just sort of economic. Brazil did see combat in World War II in a, I don't want to say small, but very important matter, and I'll have you guess what country it was in, where they fought. But we're going to find that out in the next video, Hearts of Iron 4, and thanks for watching.